KILR Killer Game.
Hello gamers, simmers, and pilots. I am the Killer Gamer, and welcome to the first episode of the semi-world tour of SubLogic Flight. It's actually Flight Lite is what it's called. Well, the first release was Flight Lite, and then they added some airports to it, and it became Flight Lite Plus. And then later they released a boxed edition just called SubLogic Flight. Not to be confused with the absolute turd that is Microsoft Flight. SubLogic Flight actually has full USA coverage. And the interesting thing about that is that the scenery that they use, the scenery database, is the same exact scenery database as USA West and USA East. So the scenery is, well, pretty much the same as you would be able to use with ATP, Airline Transport Pilot, and Flight Simulator 4. There's just a little bit of difference as far as the ground, texture, but it's not really texture, but you know what I mean. And I don't know, New York, Chicago. Chicago looks like it's got more buildings here than what the SubLogic USA set had. But it's all combined here into this package, which is pretty cool. And also, it comes with a map, which, if you've seen my Flight Simulator 4 Adventure series, it's just as big, right? So, can you see some of this here? So it is the same style map. Now the only difference is that this has a map for the Chicago Champaign area, Dallas Austin, New York Boston, and Los Angeles San Diego. And there's nothing on the other side. And so those are the only maps that you've got. Just kind of showing you through the camera here. As you can see, it's this. They have the same types of maps, just like the SubLogic USA West and East. And of course, here it is, Flight Lite. Now there is a small little text file in the directory where you can special order the maps if you wanted to. Get full USA map coverage. You could actually contact SubLogic and get those actual maps. You wouldn't be able to do it now, but it was available then. As far as installing and running this, it is a DOS program, so I've got it running in DOS box. The boxed edition, however, this right here. Okay, I put my CD-ROM in there. That's the other thing too. The SubLogic Flight is on CD-ROM. The other ones were disc. But interesting thing enough, I haven't been able to find any box copies of Flight Lite or Flight Lite Plus. So I don't know if those were specially ordered from SubLogic or what the case was on those. But anyway, this boxed copy, you can install this on Windows 3.1 or Windows 95. but you had to do it in DOS mode. So you had to reboot the DOS and have it installed that way. I just put it in DOSBox. So if you're looking to run this, just run it in DOSBox. You're not going to have any problems by running it here. And what's this all about? What is SubLogic Flight? Well, around the time of Flight Simulator 4, right after that, SubLogic and Microsoft had a bit of a dispute, a falling out in regards to who owns the code in regards to Flight Simulator. I mean, SubLogic were the creators of PC flight simulation, but Bruce Artwick had already started working with Microsoft, and Microsoft's a big king when it comes to companies, and so SubLogic basically backed away. And since they backed away, they could no longer use that code, that programming code for flight simulation. They did have their scenery database. So with this right here, with this flight simulator, it's got the SubLogic scenery base, or scenery base of the SubLogic USA and USA East and West. But the flight simulation, on the other hand, is completely coded brand new. And it kind of looks it. It's very cartoonish looking. The control panel, the plane that we're in is a Cessna, and that looks anything but like a Cessna. So this is what we have. The purpose of Flight Lite was mainly to get people into flight simulation. It was trying to encourage people to get into it. It was a really simplified version of Flight Simulator. By default, crash detection is turned off, and it gives you these assignments that you can do to kind of you get tested. You can prove your skills, and you can create your own flight assignments, and it will grade you when you get to the destination. So we'll go ahead and show a little bit of that. I have this paused because there's no way to turn the engine off, and so it would just have a bzzz sound the whole time. It reminds me of Flight Simulator 3. You don't have any real digital sounds or anything, although it does use a sound blaster. It's not the most fantastic flight sims out there. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, you at least got full USA coverage. Whereas on Flight Simulator 5, which came out around the same time, looked better, flew better, but the coverage wasn't there. But it had custom content. This one doesn't. So on the simulator here, if you use your mouse and right click twice, it pulls up the menu. And so you've got practice flight and assigned flight. Practice flight is basically your free-form flying. Pick an airport and just fly around and you're good. Assigned flight, think of these as flight plans. You will select a starting and a destination airport, and when you land, it will grade your performance. Situation, this is where you can save your setup. So like I have a situation where we're saved here at Merrill Meigs, but then game has to do with if you're setting up that assignment. That's considered a game. You got your environments, so you got your daylight, time, date, surface, winds, clouds, pressure, and temperature. View, this is where you can set up the different views. There's like 3 different windows you can have open on the screen at one time. Graphics, you can have this set up to where it will automatically change in complexity or you can force it to be like fully complex or detailed, or whatever the case is. Now you may recognize some of these features. Some of these features carried over into Sierra Pro Pilot, and even the keyboard controls, like the rudders on the period and the comma, has carried over into Sierra Pro Pilot also. Aircraft. Here's what I was talking about, crash detection. There's something called crash avoidance, which is interesting. If we click on that, click help, crash avoidance command is used to toggle on-off flight's active crash avoidance feature. This feature is designed to prevent you from maneuvering the aircraft into unsafe pitch or bank altitudes at low altitude. When the crash avoidance feature is activated, you cannot exceed a 35-degree bank angle, pitch up higher than 15 degrees, or pitch down more than 7 degrees when the aircraft is below 2,000 feet. If you pitch or bank the aircraft beyond the allowable range, the autopilot takes over, or it takes control of the aircraft and brings it back within limits. So that's kind of interesting. Then you've got control, realism, freeze. So here you can set your realism. Aircraft loading, this is like loading up your fuel and stuff. Then you got your controls library. These are the different planes that you've got. You've got a Cessna. This is a Cessna Citation Jet, which is what SubLogic Flight Lite actually started with. Then they added the other planes. Beach Bonanza, Mooney, Piper Archer, Cessna 172. Planning. This is where you set up your assignments. We'll get back to that. And then scenery, it defaults to smart loading because it's going to load in the different scenery areas of the SubLogic USA database. You can use the Great Britain, the SubLogic Great Britain collection on here. But that apparently is the only one that you can use with this. You can't use the individual SubLogic scenery disks. The 1 through 6, 7, 11, 12, Hawaii, Japan, none of those are going to work on this one. So going back to planning, you've got position aircraft is exactly what you think it would be. Then you got quick route setup. Quick route setup allows you to pick from like 240 different flight assignments. Think of them as scenarios, game scenarios that you can play. Oh, I'm sorry, quick assignments, that's what that is. Quick route setup, this is when you're setting up your own thing. So here you can see we set up Chicago Merrill C. Meigs to Chicago O'Hare. This, just so you know, this is the quick assignments here. So you can type in, we'll just say 100. And this will automatically put you on the runway and everything. You got briefings that you can pull up here. So, and this right here also looks like ProPilot. This weather briefing, that carried over into ProPilot also. We'll go ahead and cancel out of that. Back over here on scenery, you've got facilities. So you can look up the airports or the VORs, and it will, let me see here, if we click on that, yeah, this will pull up the information. It gives you like the ATIS tower, clearance, departure, but from what I've been able to tell, these do absolutely nothing. The ATIS doesn't seem to be doing anything either, even though there's a comm radio. I haven't found anything to where it actually does anything. You've also got this status up here. If you click on this, it talks about your route, Merrill C. Meigs, Chicago O'Hare, your aircraft, how you've got your views set up, fact if auto complexity is on or off, we'll turn that off and make sure the auto complex, or the scenery is full all the way. Clicking on this thing up here in the corner will actually close it. And in the box, you get a user manual here, along with install instructions as far as an update. You get this quick reference handbook, which has got a checklist primarily for the Citation Jet, with specs and limits, and then keyboard summary. Keep in mind there's a lot of shift and another key, and a lot of alt and another key in this. And we can slowly go over that as we're flying. So that way, if you're looking to jump into the simulator and either fly along or just kind of fly on your own, be sure to watch these videos and you'll learn more about it. That way you can kind of go on your own if you want to. Okay, so we're here at Merrill C. Meigs, and we're going to go ahead and talk about our first flight. So what we're looking at here is a scanned copy of the map. Now, I have been on the other flights using the good old SubLogic map from Flight Simulator 2. I thought it might be kind of a neat little thing to maybe use the SubLogic map that's found in the USA East and USA West. And well, this here is actually part of Flight. But the maps are practically the same. So we're here at Merrill C. Meigs, and we're going here to Chicago O'Hare. And, well, it shouldn't be too hard to get there. It's not that far away. The VOR, well, that's the VOR. Oh, here it is, 113.9. So we'll tune that in, and we will make our way over there. So now we're going to go ahead and turn the plane on. Well, that's kind of pretend. We're just going to unpause it. And as you can see, we got a lovely buzzing sound there. Very reminiscent of Flight Simulator 2 and 3. Maybe a little better than that, but still, still you're going to have to turn the volume down a little bit. All right, so we will go to communication number 1. ATIS for Merrill C. Meigs is 127.35. Now, if we go ahead and change this here, you can use the mouse. There's also keyboard commands too. Actually, it takes longer with a mouse. You can see I've got it tuned in to 127.35, and nothing, nada pops up. Nav 1, 113.90, so we'll go ahead and tune that in. And I'm assuming it's here. It's like all the controls are all over the place, so oh, interesting. Okay, so I don't think that's the heading bug. I think that just adjusts it, is all that does. What does this do, the red one? Okay, that might be something. Boy, trying to navigate in this thing is going to be interesting. There are visual cues and stuff that can be brought up, and that's what this bottom thing here is for. But we will work this out and figure it out as we go. So let's go ahead and we will get moving here. Also, your ailerons, your throttle, your flap selection, all of that is over in this area down here in the bottom. So we're going to have to release the brakes. And hopefully we'll get moving here. There we go. Now remember, Flight Simulator 5 was out when this came out. I don't think this simulator was very popular when it came out. I have never flown this before, other than just kind of practicing before the start of this series. Heck, I didn't even know this existed. I came across this on eBay when trying to find some stuff for my flight simulation collection. And I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, SubLogic? So I looked into it a little bit more, and then I went ahead and got a copy. And we're doing a series on it. And we're going to be flying the same flight plan as we have on all the other simulators. Didn't seem like we're hardly moving at all here. Your shift and your numerical keypad, as in before, will allow you to move around as far as looking out the different windows. Reaching the end of the taxiway here. Oh, hey, we just kind of stopped on a dime. Also, too, when you M is brakes, so when you hit that, the brakes actually stay on. So you're going to have to hit it a second time to turn it on. So basically, you don't need parking brakes. Just hit M for brakes, and it's like, whoop, it'll stay on. So if you're wanting to slow down a little bit, just hit M, you know, a couple of times just to kind of briefly touch on those brakes. Just kind of like what I was doing there. And the brakes, it'll show you down here. See, I'll hit it. You see how that came on there? So, well, this should look familiar. Looking down runway 36 to the Chicago skyline. There is a way to turn on the spot plane It's shift and caps lock, but that does not appear to be doing anything for me. I was able to get it to work before. It's not now. Maybe it's because I'm on an actual assignment. I don't know. But oh, okay. Check this out. Well, it's telling us to go that direction. Huh, so this isn't like a VOR? You just tune it in and it says, hey, go. So it's an ADF? Is that what this is? Huh. I don't know. We'll figure this out as we go on here. Release our brakes, and we will go and throttle up here. Those look like cactus until you get closer. Take a look behind us. Yeah, if memory serves me, the SubLogic USA East did not have this many buildings in Chicago. And what I thought was definitely impressive is that the buildings continued to go down the coast like they actually do in Chicago. So it's kind of nice to see that they put that effort in there. Yeah, and there's these flashes once in a while of the graphics just kind of doing what it just did, and I don't know if that's because of DOSBox or if that's just the program itself. Go ahead and turn our throttle down here. Now there's all these visual cues and everything here that you can select as far as helping you out with your flights. Okay, I see the VOR needle now moving. And it looks like this does actually. Okay, so this corner one here is your OBS setting. We're going to try to land on runway 27 right. That's what I had selected in the flight assignment. So I already had that ready to go. But I'd say every other flight or so we'll go over some things along the control panel and get familiar with it. This is more of an introductory flight. kind of tell you all about the SubLogic flight, and just get one flight going here. Okay, this looks like the ADF right here. That's your turn indicator. Elapsed time, I thought this was interesting. Okay, you click on it and it actually starts. Click on it again, it stops. Click on it a third time, it resets. So this is a stopwatch. So you can see how the graphics are a lot like Flight Simulator 4. Not completely, but it's very similar. It's hard to read the altimeter. You can see a readout right behind it. We're at, looks like 1,300. Okay, so yeah, we're not very high up. Our airport right there. I don't think there's any air traffic, any dynamic traffic or anything. So it's kind of like what I was saying. They had to completely rebuild a simulator with all new code. Okay, I think it was 27 right that I was going to land on. So that'll be this one over here. This apparently has voice, because there's an option in the menu, or not the menus, but on the keyboard options for turning voice on and off. I haven't come across anything that uses voice. Okay, let's get our flaps down here. We may not get a very good score. Plus and minus on the numerical keypad will be your flaps. Ooh. Oh, now we're bouncing. Jeez. Are we still flying? What the heck? Okay. Well, here's our debriefing. We got deducted. Failed to maintain 500 FPM rate of climb. Failed to hold altitude while en route. Progress to intercept course was too slow. Failed to stay on course. I don't know. I went there, so I have no idea. Failed to descend between 2,000 and 3,000 FPM. Failed to land on field. Used visual route. No? Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. We didn't exceed flaps or exceed the gear speed limit. We were unsafe orientation during the flight. We're unsafe low altitude. Unsafe fuel reserve upon landing. So this is our grade. So I guess out of 100%, we got 11%. Navigation 0. Man, I guess we just sucked on that. If we click on help here, we can kind of read all about this. For each flight assignment, you're rated in the categories of navigation, airmanship, safety, and efficiency. Factors that help determine your grade include intercepting course in a reasonable period of time, staying on course at cruise altitude, maintaining the optimal cruise altitude, and starting your descent at the optimal point in the flight. Specific navigation derating factors include, well, that's all of this here. Progress to intercept course was too slow. Oh, okay, so this is just kind of giving you what all those things are. So, we'll hit pause, and that will turn off the plane, kind of. We're here at Chicago Meigs. My goodness, that was just... You know, the first test flight I did was fine. This one here was just, oh my, that was a disaster. I guess good thing we didn't have crash detection on? Maybe I should turn it on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you played SubLogic Flight, Flight Lite, Flight Lite Plus, whichever one of those? Did you enjoy it? Have you always been wanting to take a look at this? Hey, let me know in the comments. If you know anything about that voice, there's like an option to turn on and off voice, and I've only seen it in the quick reference handbook, but if you have any experience with that, also let me know in the comments, as well as the comm system. Does it actually work? Can you get ATIS messages, or is it just there for show? I appreciate your input on that. And if you enjoyed the video, thumbs up. That would help me out and help others like yourself who might be interested in some of these old flight simulators and learning more about them. And if you subscribe, you can be part of our growing KILR community. We're a cool community. So join us. Let's grow. We'll grow together. And then the notification button, or that, you know, that Taco Bell thing that you can ring, that's for you. That's why you'll know when the next video is uploaded to this channel, because I got lots of flight simulation videos, and I try to work on some other stuff as well. But other than that, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next leg of our journey.